So Konami have released Xavi and Iniesta, but no Busquets. He is in the database, but he's not coming in the pack with his teammates. It was a bit of a shame, but Konami are what Konami are. Now, I am having a bit of technical difficulties. That's why I'm on this headset with the worst mic. So apologies about that, and I can't really stream at the moment. I had a power surge, and my monitor, Xbox, and laptop got knocked out. So I'm in the process of replacing all of that. But today we're going to do a training guide for these three players, and I'm going to compare them to the old versions to let you know if I think it's worth the upgrade, and if you don't have any of these players, how they compare to other centre mids like Mateus or Pirlo. In the case of Xavi, Iniesta, you compare it to probably Nedved for a whole player, and then Figo is a cross specialist, so he's a bit unique, but we're going to talk about how effective cross specialist is. So starting off with Iniesta, Konami loved this guy when they kind of released eFootball. He was part of the promotional material, and they kind of built the old dribbling system around him. They have removed that old dribbling system now, so it's a bit of a shame, but he still is very effective in the game and one of my favorite players. And when I show you the build, you'll see why. So this is his build before the boosts. You can see that we're getting 85 on the finishing and the acceleration too. And then when we put the boosts on, you can see the balance also goes up to 95. We hit the 90 kick on power, 85 speed, and 90 finishing because of his fantasy boost. So looks like a very, very strong card. We have 5 points into defending because we want to get the defending stats to 70 as much as possible, but it'll be too much of an investment for aggression. So I think this card looks very good. In terms of his passing, it's 90 isn't going to be much different than 88 on the low pass, but we just put a little bit of points in to get the lofted pass higher, and then might as well reach the threshold on 90, just in case I am wrong about that theory about 88 low pass being as high as you need to take it. It's something that a Chinese player tested, so I'm pretty confident it's true, it's accurate. You don't need to go above 88 low pass once you have true passing skill, but I don't know for certain, so I'm probably 95% sure. But this build becomes a lot better when you put the booster on. So if you see the amount of points we invested, you've seen we put 11 points into lower body strength and 10 into shooting. So ideally we want to take put a booster on so we can take points invested off there and put them elsewhere. So if we put the shooting on, you can see that we get the 91 kick on power now. So if you want to stay on 90, you can just take it down. I wouldn't worry about the speed too much. I think the 1 point you're going to sacrifice there is going to definitely be made up elsewhere. And then the stamina, I don't really trust stamina in this game. Players can have 99 stamina and still be tired by the end. If we try to take off a point of shooting though, unfortunately we actually take 2 points off because without the boosts, you can see we're just at 85, so we're going to miss out on that +3. So with these extra points, you can redistribute them into aerial strength, and that way you get 70 physical contact, which is a big boost on just 69. Once you get to 70, I've noticed personally your players kind of hold off the opponents more often. They kind of trigger new animations. So 70 physical contact is kind of a good baseline, and once you see that, you can kind of get close to that on a card, especially a dribbler. It's very useful to try actually put those points in to get that. Now, if you don't care about his lofted pass, which to be honest, lofted passes aren't that great in the game with the way pace works and you can't really play a ball in behind, you could take those 2 points off, and you can only put them into the dribbling, aerial, and defending. Realistically, the aerial, if you put it in there, nothing's going to change. Put it into defending, nothing's really going to change either, and if you put it into the dribbling, not much is going to change either. So it doesn't really matter where you put them. So I just go whatever, or you could just keep it on the passing to get it to the 85, because I think particularly if you're going to be crossing, I think once you get that 85, you might notice it. Now, if we look at his skills, he's got a nice punch, but we can make him a lot better. So I would go for flip flap for the first one because he has double touch and soul control, that ball roll. Then I'd go for interception. I know he's a whole player. Probably a lot of people are going to play him attacking mid. I wouldn't really recommend that. I'd play him centre mid. Probably a 4-3-3 with a DMF centre mid and a centre mid. Like if you put Iniesta on the left hand side of a centre mid, with Xavi on the right hand side, and then an anchorman in DMF, or even Xavi in DMF with a box to box alongside Iniesta, it'll be a very good midfield setup. So in that situation, you definitely want interception. Shouldn't be really a question. If you're only gonna play him attacking midfield, it's not 100% necessary, and I do have 6 skills I want to recommend, so you could sacrifice interception if you're solely going to play him attacking midfield. After that, I'd probably go for acrobatic finishing just because of how good of a dribbler he is. He's not gonna, or he's someone who's going to be able to get himself into the box for a shooting position, so it would be useful to have acrobatic finishing for those scenarios. Then I'd go for long range shooting as well because we give him quite a lot of finishing and good kick and power. So if you have good kick and power, you don't even need the high finishing to score long range shots, but I do feel like it helps. But the skill is the most important, so I would definitely put long range shooting on him. You could also go for long range curler because of how much curl we had. I think we had 95 curl on that build, so those should be very effective. And he also does have outside curlers, so you can hit them with both feet. But he does have very high weak foot as well, so sometimes you might want to just whack it. And then for that last skill, or the 6th skill, I recommend you're going to have to make a sacrifice if you want to put this on. I put track back on. Again, it's just because of how much more, I guess, active track back makes your players in terms of AI defending. They get more involved, and because he's quite fast, you'll be able to get around the pitch quite often, or quite make up quite a lot of distance. Also, if you play him attacking midfield, track back will still be good, just because you can press from the front very well. And then if you couple it with interception as well, even in AMF, probably what I would do. But I know a lot of people probably are going to kind of cringe at the idea of interception on attacking midfield. If I had to sacrifice one of these skills, it would probably be long range curler, just because I don't think finesse shots are as good in the game as they should be. But definitely a very good card. If we compare it to this old version of Iniesta, this one came out like literally when eFootball kind of first came out. It would have been the first couple of months, and I've still had this guy. How many games have I got with him? 2,000 games, so definitely one of my favorite players. I'm not going to upgrade. I do think there is a noticeable upgrade. Definitely get more defending stats and definitely more finishing and speed. So it's actually quite a big upgrade, really. You can see there. I guess the defending stats are actually kind of the same, but you could increase them. But I don't think you should. I think he is an attacking player. Keep him like that, but you can definitely see there is a quite big advantage in this new Iniesta, namely in his pace and his finishing. And for phenomenal passing on Iniesta, I did a video ages ago on phenomenal pass, but I've kind of changed my mind on it. I think it is a very good skill, but the players that we got given in that last pack, Pedri, Bernardo Silva, and Xavi Simons, weren't the greatest for it. I mean, Simons would have been good, but I didn't get my hands on him. I think it's best for someone who's good at dribbling, because you can kind of dribble into a weird angle and then play the off-balance pass. So phenomenal pass is a very good skill. I mean, Cruyff got it recently. He'd be a perfect player for Cruyff because he's two-footed and great at dribbling. You can kind of just confuse your opponent, but Iniesta is going to be the exact same because he's also got the very high weak foot. So phenomenal pass, and then Iniesta will be quite effective. Okay, so next player is Xavi. Now I have 3 builds for this guy. 2 of them are quite similar, but one of them is a more defensive build. So we'll start off with the 2 similar builds. This one, you can see if we take off all the boosts for a sec, we are getting the kind of dribbling to 90. The tight possession to 90, but dribbling to 87, because when we put the boost on, we're going to get plus 3 to 90 dribbling, and then 92 on the ball control for that 95. The defensive stats, we are getting as much of them above 80 as possible. Now, we could get tackling up if we wanted to, but that's on the more defensive build. And then, most importantly, we have 13 points into lower body strength, so we can get the 85 speed and the 85 pick and power, which are going to be 2 very important stats for a centre midfielder. All the builds have the same amount of lower body strength, by the way. I just think it's going to be pretty needed for how you want Xavi to play. More for the kick and power than the speed. I don't think speed is as important on a orchestrator as it would be on a box-to-box. Balance is the most important probably on an orchestrator out of these physical stats, but he starts off with quite good balance anyway, and I don't think you're going to need it to go much higher. So that's the first kind of build. The first 2, I'll see there, you can see how he looks. For the boosters, by the way, I've spent about, I'd say, 15 minutes trying to figure out how we're going to implement boosters. I really don't think the boosters matter and can really change this card in terms of, you know, getting points back to invest elsewhere. I mean, because if you look at it, 13 points lower body strength, but if we go down to 12, we miss out on that plus 3 boost. So really just put any booster on, you can probably put a random and be fine with it. So the next similar build, pretty similar, but instead of higher dribbling and dexterity, we put a little bit of points into defending to get to that level of 80 plus on all the defensive stats. Now, you could actually change this a little bit and take off one defending stat and then kind of put it into, I would say, would it be dexterity or dribbling? You probably get the dribbling to 90, so you could do that as well. But if you do that, you miss out on the plus 3 boost on the defensive awareness. So if I had to pick, I'd probably go for the defensive awareness just to be more certain. Actually, this guy has 99 stamina. I just noticed that. See, I didn't even notice he had 99 stamina because it's a stat I don't even look at. I guarantee it'll still be low stamina by the end of the game when you play with him. For the last builds, this one's the more defensive build. And you can pretty much see it. So we're basically keeping it the same, except we're sacrificing the finishing. I think 75 finishing with 90 kick and power is still going to be quite effective for the kind of chances you'd expect to score with Xavi. They wouldn't be like necessarily open goals, but you should be kind of the last man free on the edge of the box for a first time shot. That's kind of the kick and power will be enough to compensate for that 75 finishing, in my opinion. And then the skills for Xavi. Now, I think you should put flip-flap on him just because he already has a goal push and soul control. It's right there. But he definitely needs interception. So interception should probably be the first one you put on him. Centre mids and DMFs pretty much always need, especially centre mids, track back, interception, and true passing. So he's already got true passing. He also needs one touch pass too. He's already got those 2, so he needs interception to complete the triple. But then obviously track back is actually not something that's completely necessary, but if you want to have a high level card, it is. So I'd go interception and track back, then flip flap for the ball roll. And then the 4th skill, it's a choice between first time shot and long range shooting. You kind of have to see how you play with orchestrators. I don't really do too many long shots with orchestrators. I usually kind of move into the box with them with dribbling, but like I said a few moments ago, they kind of sometimes hang on the edge as the last man when you kind of cut across. The first time shot would be good in those situations. And then I think the last skill should be gamesmanship. I think gamesmanship is very effective for orchestrators because the whole idea of an orchestrator is He's the one who keeps possession with your team, keeps the possession for your team. Sorry. So that's usually going to be through passes. But if your opponent is covering the passing lanes, you need to be able to dribble. And gamesmanship will get you out of trouble very often if you're getting under pressure, and you should lose the ball and get tackled, but your player kind of wins the foul because he has the gamesmanship. If he didn't have it, it wouldn't be a foul. You get dispossessed, your opponent's going to be cleaning on your defenders, but gamesmanship can kind of save you, like Last Stand used to be back in Call of Duty. So I definitely put gamesmanship on your orchestrators, pretty much all of them as well. So if we compare it to this previous version of Xavi, is it worth the upgrade? I think in terms of being effective, it definitely is, because it's quite a big boost to defending and speed. So he's gonna just be pretty much the same player going forward, but a lot better defensively. Now I gave him quite a lot of finishing. How many goals has he got for me? He hasn't got that many goals for that high finishing, but I haven't had that build for the longest time. Like I've probably used 80 finishing for more often. But the reason I have 88 finishing on Xavi is because I want them to contribute going forward. I don't really care about how he contributes defensively, but even with those defensive stats, he does just fine for me. And on this one, you can see I do have interception. So if you have lower defensive stats, interception can kind of save you a lot of the time. But definitely, it's essentially this new Xavi, if we just look at it again, is a boost to his defensive abilities. So if you want a more structured, defensively sound kind of version of Xavi, it's definitely worth the upgrade. And you can see he actually is set default as a DMF, so you can see what Konami are thinking with that. So the last player is Figo, and this guy is a cross specialist with edge crossing. So we'll look at his build first and then talk about that combo is going to be effective. This is the build I would go for. I don't think Figo looks too special, to be honest. I've got a previous version of Figo. Now, it's an original legend card, so it's quite an old card. But when it came out, it was quite, a lot better stats-wise than the contemporary cards at the time. But even back then, I never felt like he was extremely effective. And it's mainly just because of how poor headers are in this game. They're not effective enough, unless you have bullet header. If you have bullet header, I would say Figo is very strong. Because his crossing is very good, and it's not just the stats, he just has good animations for crossing, but edge crossing should kind of override that anyway. He'll be effective at crossing. So if you have bullet headers, I think Figo will be a interesting player. But if you don't have bullet headers in the middle, I mean, if you have Luis Suarez and bullet header, it won't be effective. Check out my review on that. It's pretty useless showtime skill on Suarez. But I feel like for the quality of player Figo was in real life, it just doesn't translate as effective as it should in the game. Like, he'll still be a very good player. If he's a Ballon d'Or winner, so he should be one of the better players in the game, but he's kind of just behind that a little bit. Like, I'd rather use it in terms of pure meta talking. I'd rather use those free Salahs we get, like even the penalty game ones. Now, in terms of fun with the game, I mean, if you like Figo in real life, you'll probably have a lot more fun with Figo. But in terms of effectiveness, and if you're someone who doesn't care about Figo, that's kind of my thoughts. I don't think he's gonna be some pay-to-win player that you'd want to get into your team for those reasons. But if he's one of your favorite players, definitely get your hands on him. For the booster, I would put Fantasista, just because it allows us to get that dribbling to 95, which will make him feel even more faster, because dribbling is how fast you are with the ball at your feet. So for the skills, I would recommend, I have 6 recommendations. Again, you're going to have to make the sacrifice yourself. I'd consider acrobatic finishing, first time shot, weighted pass, cut behind and turn, the fighting spirit, and long range shooting. So if I had to sacrifice one of those, I don't even know which one I would choose. Probably fighting spirit, just because I don't even know. Actually, let me have a think about this for a sec. Okay, I would sacrifice long range shooting if you're going to play him on right wing, because I just think those across the goal shots, especially the long range ones, aren't as effective as they should be in the game. So I think long range shooting could get sacrificed. If I'm playing him in attacking midfield or left wing, though, I think you could recommend putting it back on. But if you're playing him on the left, you'll probably do a long range curler, and same if playing him in the middle, you'll shift him over to the left to get that long range curler. So probably sacrifice long range shooting. Now, in terms of cross specialist, is it effective? I've never really enjoyed cross specialists unless I'm playing a 3-5-2, but I wouldn't recommend someone like Figo for that. I would use someone who's a bit less inclined to dribble inside and has better stats elsewhere, like a Trent, who can defend as well and would be a little bit better at the pass and the loft of pass. I mean, you can see here he has 91 loft pass, which is good, but someone like Trent would have like 98 on most builds. So I definitely use someone like that more in a 3-5-2. But in cross specialist in other formations, again, I don't think it's most or too extremely effective. But Pez Pepe has done a video recently talking about how cross specialist performs in game, how the AI actually works. He's done some testing, but he also talked about every other winger playstyle in the game, like prolific winger and Roman flank. So if you want an in-depth, understanding, and not just what my kind of feelings are as someone who hasn't used a cross specialist in a long time. Definitely check out that video. It'll definitely be a lot more of an informed opinion on what cross specialists will do in game. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'm gonna try get a new setup again, get the mic back. Apologies for the lower quality mic today, but it is Christmas soon, so hopefully I can get that all sorted. Right.